Hello, my name is Kathy Deagle, and this is an instructional video on using an app called Resume Star. So we're going to take a look. There it is. And Resume Star is a free app that makes composing a resume easy. It's been featured in today's best apps and consistently gets 5-star ratings from users, which you can see. We're going to open it up. This is an app that I have found to be very helpful. I really like it because it's easy to use and it is formatted according to industry best practices, which takes a lot of the guesswork out of writing your resume. And also because it creates a PDF document that can be emailed, posted online, or printed. So today I'm going to demonstrate how to use Resume Star on an iPad because it's just easier to see, but it works equally well on an iPhone or an iPod. So we're going to start here with this blank resume, and I'm going to show you a couple of features. But first, let me just say that I chose to do this video to coach students through creating a resume on Resume Star while at the same time integrating instructions and recommendations verbally as we walk through the features. So the video can be best utilized by composing your resume as you listen and then pausing at each step to input your own personal information. And most of the information that I'll be providing comes from the Resume Star Resume Writing Guide, which is available, that little circle with an I in it down here. If you just touch on that, you'll see that the Resume Writing Guide will pop up, and you can read through that as well at another time if you'd like. I've also incorporated information from my own experience working in a college career center where I spend much of my day helping students write their resumes. And in that job, I noticed that students wasted a lot of time formatting their resumes and would get frustrated with the process. This app eliminates formatting issues and allows you to really focus on what's important, which is the content. So before we get started, I'd like to make a couple of important points. First is that the reason that you write a resume is to get an interview. It is not the time to talk about your life story. You don't want to just include a lot of extraneous information. You want to just focus on being concise and make sure that you convey what's really important to potential employers. The average hiring manager only looks at a resume for about 30 seconds before they decide to discard it or process it further. Another thing is you should really be considering your audience and customizing each resume for a specific position. The idea of kind of making a generic resume and sending it out to lots of companies that, and expecting them to make the connection of you being a good fit is really not effective. You want to customize and really find a specific job and apply for that job using the language from that job posting in your resume. And the third thing is just to always be honest about your experience and your qualifications. Okay, so first we're going to take a look at the navigational features. This is a blank resume, and you can see that, it shows you exactly what items you need to fill in. It's already got it lined up with aligning on the dates on the right and other stuff, topics on the left. Very easy. So we're going to just walk through this. First of all, your contact information. You can see you just touch on that, it comes up, and you fill in the blanks, very simple. The next thing is your cover letter. Now the cover letter we don't have time to cover in this video, but if you go down to that information section, you can learn a little bit more about that. And just suffice to say that every resume that you send out should be accompanied by a cover letter. It shows that extra level of effort and interest, which can set you apart from other candidates. Then we'll go to the objective. You can see that each section is just very easy. You just fill in the blanks. And then to edit, there's your edit function. This allows you to move sections around or add sections. And another thing you should just be aware of is that this automatically saves everything that you've done. You don't have to worry about saving it separately. So now we're going to go to the gallery. Button up here at the top left, and you have all of these resumes you can choose from as to get examples of things, but we're going to use an example that I've created for Taylor Smith, who is a college senior who will be graduating in the spring, and she's looking for a job in event planning. So we're going to work with hers, and I'm going to show you as I go through how to do this and also the kinds of things you should be thinking about when you're making your own resume. So we've already talked about the contact information. You just fill it in and it automatically will format right at the top in the center where it should be. Your objective. Now this is important. It should be a simple statement that clearly states what position you're looking for. A tip is to include the name of the company and the exact position that you're applying for. This is going to make it very clear to the hiring manager that you are specifically interested in that job, and it will reduce your chances of being weeded out. All right, so that's to obtain a position with Compass Group North America as a conference planner where I can utilize my event planning experience and organizational skills. You can see that she's tying the exact position to things that she has to offer that will be relevant. All right, the next section is key qualifications, and we've already filled in examples here. The idea is that you want to use the job description that you have found and find language and use that same language in your job qualification section to be perceived as a very good match. You want to make it sure that you want to make it clear that you have exactly the skills needed or better. But like I said, make sure that you're being honest. In this section, the first one is able to communicate effectively with diverse populations, which is pretty specific to the job description. It's much better than just saying excellent communication skills. The next one, organized with attention to detail. Attention to detail was a term that they used in the job description. So make sure you incorporate their same language. All right, next we're going to have education. Now, if you are an older person, education would probably come after work experience, but in this case, this is what she's selling. This is what she has to offer as a new hire. She's, talking more about potential. So you fill in your bachelor of whatever university, and in her case, we're putting in expected spring 2015 because she really hasn't graduated yet. And then the GPA and her concentration, which was business management, and then anything that she's done coursework-wise that would be relevant to the position. So that's kind of nice because it helps to show a potential employer that you've at least had some exposure and some knowledge about subjects that may relate to the position. All right, and then relevant work experience. You put your most recent job first, and then following that, jobs that you've had prior. I have changed this to relevant experience. The format says work experience, but relevant experience can include things like internships and shadow experiences and school projects, so that's really more appropriate for someone like a recent grad. And in this section, you want to make sure that you're using active verbs to describe your responsibilities. You're going to have bullet points that are basically like headlines for what you want to be asked more about when you're in an interview. You've got the name of your position. That should be exactly the same position title that you had, the company name and address, the date, the exact dates. In this case, summer is clear enough. But anyway, you want to use action verbs. You want to quantify any achievements, and you want to show progression in your work. You can see down here that she shows that she was promoted each summer, so those are good things to point out. But new job applicants, new graduates really aren't expected to have a lot of experience. What's important is that you convey that you have a passion, a potential, and a work ethic. So those are things that she's trying to promote here. And she's showing that the things that she's done are relevant to the kind of job that she's applying for. All right, and then other activities. This is a section that I added. It's very easy to add a section. Just go down here. You can do that. Add any of those things. So I added a section on activities, and this is optional, but it's a good idea for recent grads because through activities, students often have the opportunity to gain experience and develop new skills that are transferable to a career. So she's talked about some planning activities that she's done in college. Okay, and then the last section is references, and they're available upon request. That's the standard format. That's the standard thing to say. But you do need to be prepared to present a list of references with contact information and a brief summary of your relationship if asked, and you probably will be asked. So be sure to have that available and make sure that you talk to your references beforehand so that they know they may be contacted. Okay, so here's our resume. Looks pretty good. Just some final points. You want to stick to the format. It's okay to make some minor changes over here, but you basically want to stick to the format. This is proven to be effective. And it's the best practices in the industry, and a resume is not the time to use gimmicky stuff, to do gimmicky stuff. Make sure you proofread it really well. Obviously, you don't want any mistakes. Adjust your margins if you want. Here's a little option down here to do that. Change the font or the margins if you need to make it fit right on the page. But the idea is that as a recent grad, it should really only be one page. More experienced people can go on to a second page, but no one's should be more than 2 pages. And remember, the purpose of this is really just to get you an interview. It's not to tell your life story. Another thing you can do is you can go in and rename your file with the company name on it so that you can be sure of which, if you need to come back to that. Do not add photos. Do not add photos. That can create conditions for unfair hiring practices, and sometimes it will get your resume tossed. Do remember your cover letter. And then to submit your resume, you go down here to submit. You can choose email, you can choose print, or you can go to open in other forms and then send it online to different places. And finally, if you want to pay for the app, it's optional. It's an honor system. They ask that if you are successful in getting an interview, that you come back to them and actually pay them $3.99, but that's totally optional. So anyway, I hope you have good luck with this resume. I hope this interview or this instructional video has been helpful, and good luck in your search.